Hey gorgeous people, today I'm going to be showing you how to create 3 very different cards using one background idea, and this is part of the Time to Choose Magic YouTube Hop, which is a collaboration between Lindy's Stamp Gang and Syberia Designs. So of course I'll be using loads of products from these two companies. To start with, I'm using some Arche watercolor paper to create my backgrounds, and I'm going to be using Lindy's sprays in Poinciana Red Flame, Marigold Yellow Orange, California Poppy Gold, Bells of Ireland Green, Hydrangea Blue, French Lilac Violet, and Teapot Purple. So it's a very simple way to start these off, and I'm just spraying heavily the colors onto pieces of watercolor cardstock until each piece is covered very evenly. You can see the beautiful shimmer from the Lindy's Gang products here. Once the cardstock's dry, I've used the Thin Stripes cover die from Syberia to cut each piece of card into these wonderful tiny little even strips. Now this is not something I could do by myself, so I was so happy to find that die. I've added them to a piece of backing card just using double-sided tape and then trimmed them all down to card front size. So for my first card, I'm going to keep it simple. I've used the large Hello die set from Syberia and cut the backing Hello and the main lettered Hello, which is so beautiful and fine, just love it. I've also saved the little pieces that go sort of between the letters, so I can add those in too. So I've covered my beautiful rainbow with a piece of cardstock that I've cut sort of like the surrounding die from, and then I've placed the thinner Hello die within it and a few pieces of the cutouts. So I've got sort of like this peekaboo effect, but it was a little bit too plain. So one of the tiny little strips I've cut off from a previous piece of cardstock, I've added on the side. For my second card, I'm going to be using the watercolor flowers stamp set from Syberia and stamping onto the background. Now I'm just using a really sticky Versamark ink and Wowzers white embossing powder from Lindy's. Now this is a beautiful opaque white, and it's going to show up really prettily against the colors. If you've got any little fingerprints, make sure to remove the embossing powder from these just with a paintbrush before heating. You can see the embossing powder changing color and how wonderfully that is showing against the colored background. So you could almost leave it there, but I can't resist a few splatters. So I'm adding some with my Sharpie paint pen and then using it to add just a few tiny little centers to the flowers. Now this is so pretty it doesn't need a whole lot more. So I've just added a tiny bit of vellum around the base just to make the Hello die stand out a little bit more. I've got the surround die and then the main Hello cut from black cardstock, and I'm just going to layer the front panel onto a piece of black and then onto a white card, just so that the colors of the die cut Hellos repeat in the card itself. Just sort of makes it a little bit more cohesive. And this is my finished second card. Reasonably quick, relatively simple, and really pretty. So I hope you've enjoyed this second card. And we've got one more to go. So a completely different look for this third one. In all of them, I've made sure that both the Lindy's and the Syberia products are really the heroes. Now, this was sort of like a failed idea. I was going to try and do sort of like a funky arrow pattern, didn't quite work out. So instead, I'm using my circle cutter to cut it into a circle shape. And I'm going to use some of the adorable Always Be Yourself stamps and dies, along with my pink fresh detail pad, to add a little bit of fun and whimsy to this card. Now, so that the background matches the front, I'm using those same colors of Lindy's sprays to add just a couple of spots and dots over the background of the card. Now I'm not very patient and it's kind of late at night, so I'm going to dry this with my heat gun rather than wait for it to sort of dry by itself. And you can get those beautiful little splatters, really cute circles that are going to echo the circle pattern that I've cut my rainbow cardstock into. Now my unicorn's looking a little naked, so I'm just going to add some color with my Copic markers really quickly. Nothing too fancy here. I'm just using some neutral grays, starting from the darkest color and working to the lightest, just around the edges where the shadows would be, and softening that with my Copic blender. So add a second layer, but don't sort of draw, just add little stippled spots so it looks a little bit like patterned, the kind of hide you would get on a horse. Now I'm just very quickly adding Copic colors here in a rainbow pattern that matches the same colors as the Lindy's sprays that I've used, so I get a nice cohesive background. And make sure to soften these using your blender just so that it's not too harsh, because rainbow colors can be a little bit challenging sometimes. So I'm not going for anything fancy here, just something pretty. And to finish it off, I'm using my gorgeous gold pen from Jane Davenport. This is one of those ones that is just so glittery and shimmery. It's hard not to grab it for every project. As you can see, a very sweet little unicorn colored in fairly quickly, but it will match the background beautifully. Now to finish this off, I'm just adding a few little clouds and stars from that same Always Be Yourself set, and using some sort of those fat dots, can't remember what they're called, just to raise it off the background a little bit, just so it's got something a little bit extra for this card. And it's finished. Shimmery, pretty, really cute, bright and colourful, making me happy just looking at it. So these are the three very different cards I've created using just that one background, which was created from the Thin Stripes cover die from Syberia Designs, and that beautiful rainbow of Lindy sprays. I hope you like all three of these cards and can see how differently you can use these very same products. So I've been really happy to be a part of this hop, and don't forget to go straight to the next hopper, leave a comment and make sure to like and subscribe.